Hello everyone, Dubin here, aka 4am. Today we're going to talk about removing the S9 faceplate and replacing it with a shiny new NMCP one, like this. Oh yeah. Okay, so yeah, it's basically a bit of an issue with these DJM S9s, as you can see from here, that it's just, this faceplate just wears down extremely quickly. I mean, I've been cutting quite a lot, but not loads, and this is just looks like I've had it for years, basically. So yeah, replacing it with the NMCP one, as you can see in the images now, which basically just looks 100 times better. Anyway, if you ask me, it looks so cool now. I'm super happy I bought it. It took me a while to kind of change it, and maybe there's a couple of little things which, you know, if you know about as you're changing it, will help you. It's pretty straightforward. If I wasn't such a noob, then it probably would have turned out much better, basically. But I'm just going to quickly repeat the process and just talk about the bits that you need to do. Hopefully it'll be useful to someone. Okay, so the tools you need are Phillips head screwdriver to get all the screws off the faceplate, and this pick thing. Pick one up from Maplins or something like that. I got mine off Amazon. It's not 100% necessary, but it definitely make your job easier. So yeah, first things first, take off all the screws. There is 6 in total. I actually forgot a couple here, but I take them off later off video. Yeah, then just take off the little knobs with your pick. The next part is where you really need the pick. As you can see, the crossfader knobs have a mechanism within them which basically means that you've got to lever off this little white bit first before you can take off the knob. So whatever you do, don't just try and pull it off, because it won't come and it'll break. So yeah, you lever it out, and then that basically allows you to pull off the knob, and then there's one more bit inside of that. It's not super important to remember which way they went in, because you can put it in either way later on and figure it out. I'll show you later on. But these are the 3 pieces that come out, and just make sure you put them somewhere safe. So yeah, once you've got the faceplate off, you've got to get out these 2 windows, so the big one and the small one. The small one's pretty easy to pop out. Just put it somewhere safe and try not to scratch it. The bigger one is slightly more challenging to pop out. You've got to push it from the other side, and you've got to melt the glue, basically. So they recommend heating it to 30 degrees first, which I did over the stove, which I'm not sure is the best way, but it worked. Like, make sure it's 30 degrees though, because it'll become much easier to pop out when it is. And also try not to scratch the paint on it. So I'd maybe put a bit of paper over it like this, and then yeah, as long as it's heated to the right temperature, it should pop out fairly easily. Next thing is to get off this bit of felt, which is like the dust cover for the faders. If you start it off with a knife, you can get under there, and there's just a little bit of glue basically holding it on either side of the felt. There's, I guess, 6 of these in total. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then another couple out of shot on the little one for the headphones. If you start it off in the right way, it should peel off pretty quickly, but if you don't start it off in the right way, then it's gonna rip. All that really remains is to put everything back. So I'm just going to show you in more detail how to put this thing back, because the rest of it's all pretty straightforward. So you just pop on the little piece with, like, looks like an arrow, I guess. You can put it on left or right. So as I say, it doesn't really matter, as long as it lines up like that. You can see where the arrow is meant to go into the little hole, basically. So as long as you get that on the right side, then it should all go in nicely. And then you've got to slide in the other white holding piece as per this. It's basically the only way that it's going to fit in. So again, it's pretty straightforward. Well, I hope this video has been useful to someone. I realise it's pretty niche, but if you were thinking about buying an NMCP faceplate, this has kind of made up your mind. They're really high quality, and I definitely recommend getting one. Whoop whoop.